Hello, Justin May with the Dixie Law Group. A question we get a lot is, what is a traumatic brain injury? So a traumatic brain injury is anytime there is a significant bruise or some kind of injury to the brain. So there's minor traumatic brain injuries all the way up to obviously serious penetrating wound into the brain injuries, and those are major. There's actually three categories. There's mild, moderate, and severe. Severe is all the way into the brain. Moderate is there is imaging and we can see it. And then mild is anything that we can't really see, and you're not knocked out for longer than, I think the guidelines are 30 minutes. So in front of us we have Bob the Brain. We take him to trial, or we take him to depositions, and I use him just to demonstrate how it works. So your brain is really floating. Think of this as floating in your head in fluid. So when you're in a car wreck, if it's a rear ender, and obviously this would be more this way, the fluid, it sloshes around so your head comes back and then it hits. It hits the front and the back, right? Now, whenever it hits the front and the back, it depends on the significance of the impact, obviously the angle. Different people have different reactions to different things, but you can be knocked out, you can have all kinds of problems. But usually what we see is people, if they have a traumatic brain injury, they'll have issues in rear enders having memory issues. They'll have issues with concentration. They'll have issues with sleep. They'll have issues focusing. They have to take a lot of breaks. They are sensitive to light. If any of these things you're watching this video and you're like, yeah, I was just in a wreck and man, I'm really having some issues, and you don't feel like yourself, you might have a minor traumatic brain injury. Now, the science with minor traumatic brain injuries, they always say, it's a day or 2 days, then it's 3 months, 6 months, and a year. So if you're not better after 2 days, you definitely want to go get checked out. Then they're probably going to tell you, let's see how you're doing in about 3 months. If you go in 3 to 6 months and you're still having problems, you need to go see a specialist immediately, because the earlier you get treatment, the better off you'll be. So if you're in a car wreck and maybe a day or two you're in a fog and then it goes away, okay, that's fine. You still probably had a concussion. But if it lags and it keeps going, that's where things can seriously cause serious issues into your life, and we need to get you into therapy as soon as possible. Big challenges that come up in traumatic brain injury cases is that, first of all, you can have a clean MRI, a clean CAT scan, and a clean X-ray and be in a coma. So there is no way to image that's available generally to just hospitals that show the damage that's done to a brain. So it's very easy for an insurance company or a defense doctor to say, none of this is related. You were going to have this anyway. So the big thing to do is to remember that there's advanced imaging that you can get into, but the only way you get into that is by going to treatment. The challenge then, if we don't have imaging, is like, how do we prove it? We prove it through what we call 5-minute witnesses, or day-to-day witnesses, where we go and talk to your boss, we go and talk to your friends, we go and talk to your husband, your kids, your church members. I've talked to all these people. One of the best witnesses I ever had in a trial was an ex-boyfriend, because when she got in a wreck, her entire personality changed, and it was awful. And he came in and testified, and you could tell on the stand that that guy was in serious pain, and he was so upset because he loved her so much, but now she was a completely different person. And it's awful. But that can happen in these kind of cases. How do you prove that? And that's how. It's through the witness stand, it's through those stories, but it's also going to a doctor. So as far as choosing a lawyer for traumatic brain injury case, I would tell you want someone that's done it, specializes in the area, and knows what they're talking about. Recently, I taught a national CLE on traumatic brain injury, specifically crossing defense doctors in the traumatic brain injury realm. We also have $1 million verdict for a man who had a traumatic brain injury, and the insurance folks hired every doctor you could find, neurologist, neuroradiologist, neuropsychologist, all to say he was lying. He didn't have it, even though he couldn't remember his son, he couldn't remember where he was supposed to take things, and it really affected his business. It really messed up his life. They offered him $50,000, and then we got $1 million verdict for him at trial. So I would say hire someone that knows what they're doing, that's been there, that's fought the wars, knows how to cross the doctors, knows what they're doing as far as the medicine, and can handle the day-to-day of getting you to the right treatment at the right time, making sure that you are doing all the things you need to do to get better, while also making sure your case is moving in the right direction. And that's what we do here. We take care of our clients, especially traumatic brain injury clients. All the staff here are trained on how to handle those folks. We know what doctors we're going to have to talk to. We know what questions we're going to have to ask, and we know what evidence we're going to need. If you were in a car wreck, think you have a traumatic brain injury, or are suffering from these issues, please give us a call today. We're here to help, and we'll make sure that you are taken care of.